Hi, beautiful friends. This week we're working on reading a book about farm animals, and we've already seen 5 pages of that book. We've been using different strategies to read the words that we see on the page. And do you guys know what we're going to do today? We're going to read 2 new pages of that book because tomorrow we're going to read all the pages of the book from start to finish, and when we're done, we will have read our first book together. And that's such an amazing accomplishment for a class of pre-K students. I'm so proud of you guys. So I want to review the different reading strategies that we've learned before we look at our new pages. And I'm going to break our reading strategies down into 2 categories. The first category are the 2 reading strategies that we use to make predictions. So if you guys remember, a prediction is a guess. We can make a prediction about what a word might be using 2 strategies that we've learned. And the first of those strategies is recognizing and using a pattern. We've noticed a pattern in our book. Our pattern is a 2-word pattern. A pattern is something that repeats over and over and over and over again. Now, these 2 papers don't have words on them because on every page, the words might change, but there's something that stays the same about them no matter what page. So our pattern is a 2-word pattern, and the first word in our pattern is always the word the. Then we said the second word changes, but it's always the name of an animal. So we can use that pattern to predict what the words on a new page will say. We can predict that the first word will probably be the, and we can predict that the second word will probably be the name of an animal. That's how we can predict words on a page. Now, the second strategy that we learned for making predictions is using the illustration. We can look at a picture in a book and guess what words might be written on the page. When we look at the pattern that says the and the name of an animal, we can use the illustration to guess what animal name that will be. But remember, these are strategies for making predictions or guesses, and our predictions or our guesses might not always be accurate. We might predict that the pattern will be the and the name of an animal, and we might be wrong. And we might look at the illustration and think that this word, the animal's name, will be one thing when it might be another, which is why we need strategies for actually reading words. So let's go over the 2 strategies that we have for reading words. The first strategy that we talked about was saying the words we know. We know that the word the is spelled T-H-E. So whenever we see the word the, we just say it. We also know that the word a is just the letter A. And we know that the word I is just the letter I. There are plenty of words that we just know. We usually call them sight words. For today and for this week, the sight word that we're working with is the word the. Every time you see T-H-E written, you just say the word the. Then you'll always be right. And finally, we have strategies for figuring out words that we don't just know. There are plenty of words like the that we already know, but there are so many words in English and we don't just know all of them. Sometimes we have to look at the words and the letters and figure out what they say. One of the strategies that we talked about yesterday was looking at the length of the word, how long it is or how short it is. We used that strategy to help us with our predictions. Remember when we looked at the chicken? We saw this page right here. So when we looked at that illustration, we made a prediction that the word we would read would be either hen or chicken, but we didn't know which one. So we used clues in the word to help figure it out. We knew that hen is a short 1-syllable word and chicken must be a longer word. So when we saw the word written like this, we figured the word must be chicken because hen would be a shorter word, which it is. So sometimes when you're making a prediction about a word and you aren't sure, you should look at the word itself to see how long or short it is and to wonder, does your prediction make sense? And then you can also use the letters that you see in a word to help you figure out what that word says. We know all our letter sounds. So if we see a word that begins with the letter D, we know that the first sound in the word is going to be D. We looked at this picture.
It's a dog.
We predicted the word would be dog, and then we checked what our guess was. Dog begins with the sound D, and the word began with the letter D, which says D. We also heard dog ends with the sound G. And the last letter in dog is G, G. D-O-G spells dog. So now I'm going to show you the last 2 pages, and I want you to use all 4 strategies to read what they say.
Here's our first new page. There's an illustration of a farm animal at the top, and there are 2 words at the bottom which fit our pattern. Use the strategy of thinking about the pattern to predict what these 2 words might be. Based on the pattern, what should the first word be? There's the first word. Use the strategy of saying the words you know. You can use the pattern strategy and saying the words you know to read this word. Now let's try to figure out the second word. Using the pattern, what do we think this second word will be? Use the illustration as a clue. What do you think this word will say? Now think about the word you guessed. How many syllables was the word that you predicted? What are the first and last sounds of the word you predicted? Do they match the words you see? Do you think you're ready to read this page? The goat.
Excellent work. Let's talk about what you did to figure out what that page said. First, we thought about the pattern. We knew that the first word in our pattern was always the, and the second word in our pattern was the name of a farm animal. We predicted that the first word would be the. When we saw the first word, we knew we were right because we used the strategy of saying words we know. We know the word the. This is the word the. Then we needed to find out the second word. The second word in our pattern was always the name of a farm animal. We looked at our illustration to make a guess. We thought that the illustration showed a goat. So we thought about the word goat and whether it was long or short. Goat. Goat is a 1-syllable word. When we saw the word, we thought, that looks short. I think it might be goat. Then we looked at the first sound. The first sound in goat is G, made by the letter G. Does it match? Yes, it does. Goat. The last sound in goat is T. Let's look at the last letter. It's the letter T. Does it match? Yes. T says T. So do you think this word says goat? Yes. Then we could read the goat.
Now let's move on to the next page. Just like the rest of the pages in this book, we have a picture of a farm animal at the top. And again, we have a 2-word pattern at the bottom. Let's use the strategy of thinking about our pattern. What do you predict the 2 words will say? Let's focus on the first word. If this page follows our pattern, what should that first word be? Here's the word. Did you predict correctly? Now you should be able to use the strategy of saying the words you know, because you know what THE spells. Say the words you know. Perfect. By thinking about the pattern and then saying the words you know, you're able to read this first word. Now let's talk about the second word. What does the pattern say that this word should be? Look at the illustration. Do you have a guess of what the second word might say? Now that you guys made your guess, look at the word. Think about how many syllables the word that you predicted has. Does that match what the word looks like? Then think about the first and the last sound in the word that you predicted. Do those sounds match the sounds of the first and last letter of the word? If the words you predicted and the words you see match, I think you're ready to read this page. The pig.
So let's go over what you did there. The first strategy we used was finding the pattern. We knew our pattern was always the and the name of a farm animal. So we thought, the first word is probably the, and that's no problem because the is a word that we know. So when we saw this word, the, we used the strategy of saying words we know. The, and this is the name of a farm animal. Now we needed to figure this word out. We looked at the illustration and we saw, that looks like a pig. I predict that the word is going to be pig. Let's think about the word pig. Pig. It has one syllable. So I would think the word pig would be a short word with only a few letters. Here's the word we saw. Is that a short word? Yes, it is. So I think this word could say pig. Now let's listen to the letter sounds in pig. Pig, pig. The first sound I hear in pig is P. Let's check the word. It's a P. That matches. Pig, pig. The last sound in pig is G. That's the letter G. Let's see if it matches. Yes, it does. So when we see this word, we know it's probably pig. The pig. And that's it. You guys used all 4 strategies today to read 2 new pages. And tomorrow, we're going to put all of the pages together that we've read so far to read one whole book. I can't wait to see how well you guys do. Bye.